Hi everyone, it's Daniel from Homegrown Australia. I'm in the outer eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and from time to time I put a little video together just showing where I'm at in the garden, what's going on, and hopefully it gives you a bit of inspiration, or if you're new, maybe a few pointers, and if you're experienced, maybe you can give me a few pointers as well. But what have I got going on in the greenhouse? So this is a little greenhouse. I'll just step back from it for a second. You can see I've put some bricks around it. I've lost about 3 of these greenhouses to the wind, and I don't have this in an ideal position because it's not getting sun all day. But it's in an ideal position to stop the wind blowing it over. So they are quite feeble, and you will see these advertised at Aldi and Bunnings and some of the online stores really inexpensively. And if you can get them locked up like I have here, they're fine. But if you think you're just going to stand it up against a fence or something like that, at some point you're going to lose it to the wind. So it needs a really sheltered spot, but or to be anchored down in some really secure fashion. But what I've got going on in the greenhouse is all my seedlings. It's the end of October now. It's the Melbourne Cup long weekend, which is traditionally when a lot of people plant their tomatoes around Melbourne. And I've got some different varieties, which I think I've mentioned before in one of the videos that a friend gave me this year. So I've got some Vasilis, who's a local gardening celebrity in Melbourne. We've got some Hungarian heart tomatoes, and we've got some beefsteak tomatoes over here, and they've all been grown under lights, and you can see how big they are. I've already put some in the garden, and they got hit by the storm that's just happened in the last couple of days, so they're not looking real flash, but we'll give you a look at those in a second. But they look quite good here. One thing I find when you're growing things under lights, they're not as strong as something that's maybe grown in the greenhouse or outside, and but they do give you that real kick start into the season with some more mature plants. So just got to be a little bit careful and try and hardy them up maybe before putting them in the ground by leaving them outside for a while, which I did do, but they still got belted by the storm. Down here we've got some capsicums and some chilies. We've got some lettuces here. We've got the tomato varieties that I grow from seed that I just keep my seeds each year. And I think I had to buy some this year as well. So the Cross Lissy, the Moneymaker, and the Siberian are a really nice small to medium sized tomato. Not like a Tom Thumb tomato, but yeah, still a slicing tomato, but they're really nice. My cucumbers just down here are still quite small, haven't been growing so fast. The zucchinis are really starting to come out now. Once I start to get that more curly leaf on them, you know, they're pretty much getting close, ready to plant. For the first time I'm trying some watermelon. They came up a long time before the zucchinis, and they've not grown very fast. They obviously need a lot more warmth and so forth. So next to that we've got some basil. It looks like dill, doesn't it? But it's basil. We've got some silver beet ready to plant, so we've got some greens, and yeah, some more capsicums or chilies over here. So they're still looking pretty small, and I've got a bit of time before I need to plant those. So around the garden, what else is happening? The orange is just blossoming beautifully, and oh, it's just got the most amazing fragrance. We've still got a few oranges on the tree, so I've been making the occasional orange juice, but if I had made a couple of good lots of orange juice, that'd be finished by now. Rhubarb's going nicely, another dwarf orange tree, the lime tree really blossoming nicely now. That's just a dwarf, these are all dwarf trees. And the lemon. But what I really want to show you, that's a mandarin, and it's in the in the dark, unfortunately. In the shade still. We're still nice and early in the morning here. Is all the little dwarf apple trees have fruited up really nicely. The big apple trees I pruned pretty heavily this year, and we've got the thyme here, it's flowering, the bees are loving that. Lavender, bees are loving. Again, I'm in the, so these are some more dwarf apple trees I've got near the back of the house, and you can just see how much fruit is set. So a lot of this will drop off. It won't be able to hold this much fruit. But yeah, if I look after them and net them, I should have a good crop this year. That's the avocado tree that I planted 2 years ago, so it's above fence height now. Blackberries I still haven't planted. I'm just standing in front of the couple of bee swarms that I caught here, and I ran out of boxes and had to make do with a little cutout in a, so I've got to attend to these, and they're hitting me there, so I'll keep moving. Lemonade tree, larger orange tree. It's just got a few little oranges on it still. Sorry, I'm zoomed in here, I didn't realise. Chooks, quinces, they're starting to grow nicely. Lots and lots of quinces. So this will be more than I had last year. So again, I'd have to net that to be successful. And I won't stop at all the other fruit trees. But the pears, for example, still quite small. Yeah. So we're just at the start of November. I cut back the cherry trees quite hard this year, and I think I've paid the price of that a little bit. So there's not as many cherries as there was last year. There seems to be a lot of singles rather than doubles or triples. I was a bit worried the Granny Smith tree here wouldn't have much fruit because I didn't see it blossom as much as normally, but it looks like it's done all right. Looks like we'll do okay. But again, I cut it back pretty hard, like I cut it back to fence height, so about 6 foot high, maybe a little bit higher. And the bees are out in force here too. And the same with the delicious. We've got a few little tiny apples on there. So we've got the cherry tree here. So anyway, I thought I'd show you what's going on in the veggie garden. These are the Vasilis tomatoes that were grown under light. They did get hit by the, I'll try and get out of the light. They did get hit by the storm, so they're not looking the strongest. But we'll see how we go. I really like these cages, and I was going to show them. Actually, I bought some more from Aldi this week. So they release them at Aldi. Bunnings have them all the time. They're a little bit more expensive, maybe a little bit more solid, but Aldi releases them. This year they were $5.99. Previously they've been about $5. I think they've made them a little bit better than they make them normally. So normally they have 3 rungs, and now they've got 4 rungs. These rungs on them here. So, but you can't leave them like this. You need to stake them. So I haven't done that yet, but I'll put stakes and then tie them to the stakes. Or Dill's one of those plants that will just keep self-seeding itself if you let it go to seed. So that's why that's there. The potatoes have grown well. Well, the green part of them has anyway. I guess we'll see the rest when we dig them up. I had a couple of garden beds here which I've pulled out just to make life easier in terms of mowing. And they had the strawberries and the asparagus. And they were actually becoming a bit overgrown with weeds. So I'm going to start them again. But I've taken the asparagus plants out and just popped them in pots. Just worth, if you haven't seen asparagus, this is how you buy it. This is how it comes. It's like just this massive roots. And you make a little mound and you spread those roots over the mound and then put the soil down over the top of them. So you can buy your asparagus like that in the winter, and then plant them, and then yeah, it can take a couple of years to get good asparagus, but it keeps cropping each year, so you only have to plant it the once. And I originally had 6 plants, and I don't know, what have I got there, probably 10 pots or more. So I made 10 plants, and then I've got a whole lot more still that I haven't potted, so it does replicate. What else can we tell you? Peas. So one of the things that I always grow each year, sorry this has turned out to be a bit of a long video, but I always grow the sugar snap peas, which is what these are. You can see they're getting quite big now. And the snow peas. And they get planted over winter, and then you're basically cropping them before you put in your summer crops. So from my perspective, they're a great crop to have. I love getting these fresh each year, and then I just let them grow out like this. This is quite big, so I'm almost ready to pull these out, and then that gives me my seeds for next year. So we just snap them open, break open the peas, let them dry, put them in an envelope for next year. So they've been really good, and even the crows have been enjoying them. This was supposed to be my snow peas, and I got some of the peas mixed up when I planted them, so I ended up some sugar snap peas here too. And the same thing here. You know, they've just about had it now, so I'm letting these grow out for seed. But I might just dig them out now, ready to put tomatoes in. The kale and the spinach here, apart from making the mistake of not mulching this bed and ending up with a bit of weed, the spinach has been really good. So this was a baby spinach, and I think I much prefer this to the English or the larger varieties of spinach. So some of the kale went to seed, but these 3 plants survived. Gives me more kale than I eat, so that's really good. So that's a bit of an idea of what's going on at the moment. What's next? I just need to prepare the rest of these beds and start planting out the zucchinis, the tomatoes. I've probably got a few weeks before I plant the cucumbers, and the capsicums will come a bit later again. So once I get the potatoes out of the bed, that'll free up another bed as well. So we're ready to go. Build a new bed for the asparagus, and we're just about set. Maybe I'll just share this with you as well. So again, just before Cup, it seems that Aldi releases all their gardening products, and just in time for this long weekend. And so I buy sugarcane mulch from wherever I can get it when I need it, but Aldi's one place I get it from. And the organic sugarcane mulch, look, the advantage I find with this is that it doesn't seed. So straw and pea cane can all sort of seed and shoot in your garden bed. So I've been using the sugarcane mulch, and some people don't like it for various reasons, but for me, I just find that works well. So interestingly, they say it covers 20 square metres. I think that's a very optimistic view. I will typically use one bag if it's fresh. I'll break that between two garden beds of 1.2 by 2.4. So yeah, I don't think I'm getting 20 square metres out of it. And then I'm typically just using this cow manure blend from Bunnings, which is quite inexpensive. And I'm putting that in each year. So putting some manure, some compost, and then topping it up with the sugarcane mulch, which is really important with the raised beds, just to keep the moisture in the beds and stop the weeds coming up. Particularly the last few years, last 2 years really, these beds have started to build up more and more foreign seeds that grow into weeds in the beds, and they're probably due for a complete change of soil. And I've even been thinking of doing some beds with pond liners and putting in the Aggie pipe and building wicking beds, which is basically a form of bed that the water comes up from the bottom of the soil. But with the pond liners, we'll stop all the weeds coming up from the bottom as well. So that might be my excuse to pull these beds apart and rebuild them and deal with the weeds that way. So I think I got about 5 or 6 years before the weeds became a real problem in these beds. And part of it was my fault because I introduced some compost that had some matter out of the chook shed, which had some seeds in it. So there's a bit of a no-no. Look, I hope you found that interesting, and yeah, a couple of things that I do and even a couple of mistakes I've made. And hope you can learn from that and yeah, be productive in your own gardening. Thanks for watching, and if you found this a little bit interesting, I know this was a bit of a long video. Hope you'll subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Bye.